Okay. You are sitting at a table, and there's kind of like an array of stuff spread out in front of you, kind of like equipment. There's some vials and some tubes, and there's a book about different kinds of like divine magic, and there's some blacksmith's tools, and some welder's tools kind of like sprawled out in front of you. Um, and this workstation's a little bit of a mess, and there's like some odd lumps of like ore and iron and metals strewn about, and there's some kind of like oddly shapen pieces, and kind of like a thin blade that doesn't have a handle that's kind of just resting on the table. And in front of you, there's another person sitting across the table from you, and you cannot make out any of their facial features or any other features about them. It's almost like you're staring at a black silhouette, and you feel strange sense of deja vu. Like this is a face that you've seen before and you should be able to identify, but in this dream you can't. And they speak and they say, "Do you remember?"
Remember what?
And then it says, "It was by design, you know."
What?
And
Give me a noun.
the figure shakes its head and then says, "Do you see the color of the sky?" You look up away from these kind of like pieces that are in front of you, and the sky is a brilliant red and gold, almost like it's been set ablaze. It won't be long now. Would you like to see it?
I suppose I don't have a choice.
And the figure nods and says, "I think you're right about that." And then your vision, so to speak, ends. So, Liara, you are in the same kind of setup as you were when you last had a dream, but this time, those things aren't there. Instead, there is just this kind of object on the table, and you're not quite sure upon first glance what exactly it is. But you take it into your hands and you kind of look it over, and whatever it is has this really clean, sleek design. It's it's hand sized. It actually kind of perfectly rests in the palm of your hand, almost like it was kind of made to fit your hand exactly.
I'll press the lever.
You push on the little trigger, and a beam of immense light shoots out from it and kind of tunnels into the distance. And you see it go quite a ways away before slowly fading into darkness.
Yeah.
You are playing with this, what you presume to be at this point a weapon in your hand, when you feel someone place their hand on your shoulder. And I imagine that you would turn around to kind of look at this person, but you can't move your head. In fact, you're too kind of fixated on the object in your hands to turn around. But you hear a voice, and the voice says, "Is it finished?" And then you wake up.
Liara's specifically going to try to meditate on the weapon again.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll say you're at the same table, but there are papers in front of you.
Mhm.
And you recognize the handwriting as your own handwriting.
Liara's just going to furiously start reading.
You start skimming through these papers, and they are logs, that appear to have been written by you, or at the very least in your handwriting, and they detail, your, or somebody that has handwriting just like yours, attempts to create a weapon, capable of immense power. And the logs the papers are kind of scattered, so the progress reports are kind of all over the place. Like, at one point, you pull out a piece of paper and it says that there's been absolutely no success, and you've been fucking struggling, to make things work. And then the next one, you'll say you had a breakthrough, and you found just the piece that you needed. You also note that there are sections that are almost like redacted.
Mhm.
So you can't. It almost looks like there's a place where a name should be, but you can't make out what it is. Starting at the edge of the table, some of the pages catch fire, and this fire is very quickly spreading across the table. And before you know it, it is engulfed in flames, and then you awaken. But I found the neatest little oddity, and she reaches onto the table and she picks up an object that looks very familiar to Liara and not familiar to any of you. And she holds it and extends it out, pointing it towards you. And it looks like
That's
someone might describe it as gun-like.
Oh my god.
And and she points it at you, and she says, "You know, this was here when I first arrived here." And then she says, "It doesn't seem to work." And then she sets it back on the table, and with that, roll for initiative.
so. I think I'm gonna take my dash action and run over to the gun,
You can just barely make it.
and I'm just gonna pick that gun up.
Okay, you pick it up.
Liara's going to level the gun and aim it at Ophelia and try to shoot her.
So you pull the trigger on this weapon, and a immense surge of energy courses through you, and then goes through the weapon, and then you see a powerful, bright purple beam of light shoot out from it, similar to how you saw in your dream when you fired it, and it blasts Minky and Ophelia for 19 points of damage. I would say you feel a faint tingling sensation on your inner palm, and if you look, there is a mark on your hand, and it is a triangle, and it has the number 10 written inside of it.
I'm gonna say that when Liara notices that it hit Minky as well, she gasps and drops the gun.